What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for To Your Eternity. This is episode 6, I believe. And with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yep. So we finally have an actual story, which is more, focused on Fushi this time around. And we've been waiting for this ever since the show started. It's like a lot of the character focus was mostly around the people around Fushi, about who he interacts with and like what happens to them and whatnot. But this just pretty much it's more centered on Fushi and like trying to learn the world that he's inhabiting, and of course getting some knowledge and emotion along the way.
Yeah, it basically just picks up right where the last episode left off, where he's traveling around and we learn that he can now take the form of March, and he uses the form of March to get the fruit from the trees. And he eventually comes across the old woman. I keep forgetting what her name is. But he comes across the old woman, and at first the old woman, of course, thinks that it's March, but eventually learns it's just Fushi. And the two of them, pretty much throughout most of the episode, end up like traveling together. And she begins to teach him just how to like read or to write certain symbols in their own language, and how to speak and how to say different words. So it's kind of, I know we were complaining a lot about how it seems like this character's development is going to be like really slow, like but in this episode it seems like he's actually learning a lot more words, and he can actually like speak in like full sentences now, even though it seems like he still has trouble like really like talking properly. Like he can still actually like communicate better than he could before. So and that's what I liked about this episode too, is that he actually like learns more how to like talk to people. So it's like he's made some pretty significant progress in terms of his own development. In this episode.
One thing I need to point out is when he turns to March, she still has the arrow stuck on her abdomen. And you would think the old woman would,
was, to be honestly.
And of course, the old woman never really points that out, which is kind of
I thought that she
funny.
was going to do that once he like got into the carriage or whatever, and she would have seen the arrow in her back, but she doesn't say anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a weird thing, but it's like at least we're glad that that Fushi is finally learning more about how to speak and how to write. Of course, like you said, he still needs to work on his his sentence
pronunciation.
He has trouble. He still has trouble fluently speaking like coherent sentences at times. Like he just like kind of like talks in a robotic manner of some sort. But but pretty much later on in the second half of the episode, he runs into this like mysterious creature who ends up stealing pretty much like almost all the forms that he's gained throughout the series.
Basically he gets attacked while he's asleep by this creature, and the first form he tries to steal is the human form he has. So he ends up having to transform back into his wolf form to fight it, but he kind of easily gets overpowered by this thing, and it did end up stealing his wolf form as well. But we also see that that hooded figure is observing this whole fight, the one that we've seen in the opening, and it is revealed later that this character is apparently the person that actually created Fushi. But he's observing this fight, and Fushi gets like two of his forms taken, the human form and his wolf form, and he eventually transforms into the bear. And tries to smash this creature with that form, but of course the creature also ends up taking the bear form as well. So the last form he ends up transforming back into his March, and with him transforming into March, he actually ends up being able to take back, because his creator tells him that he has to take the core of this creature in order to get his forms back. So that's pretty much what he ends up doing as March is taking the core of the creature and, I guess killing it that way and taking back its forms that it was stolen.
Yeah, and of course, like he has a whole flood of memories coming back to him after he recovers all of his forms, and including all the memories of the time when he spent with that young boy he met back in episode 1, and of course the memories of March of what happened to her last episode. But I'm still curious of like what Fushi's creator's motivations are. I mean, he says
he's very vague about it in this episode.
He also mentions that he created Fushi to, I guess, preserve the world. That could mean different ways. I mean, my interpretation is that, that Fushi can transform into all these different forms, not just humans or animals, but also like different objects. Like the rock, he turned into moss back in episode 1 before turning into the wolf. So it's my guess that he sent Fushi like just to pretty much learn and observe like throughout its entire lifetime and preserve the memories of like of all life in the earth that that it's walking around in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that seems like that's most like the correct interpretation, because that's what I was thinking too. Is that's what he meant? Is that that's why he's taking all these forms and he maintains all these memories of the different people that he meets throughout his life, and he takes their forms and retains those memories. So I guess those memories will live on for however long he's alive.
Yeah. But he also mentions that there's creatures like that vine like tree thing creature that tried to steal his forms that will impede his objective. But I find it too much of a coincidence that Fushi's creator just suddenly appears during this fight. I mean, who's to say that the creator didn't send that creature in the first place?
Yeah, it is kind of weird how it just happened to be there, but I guess you could argue he's pretty much like a godlike being, so he could just be wherever he wants to be whenever he wants, I guess. So maybe he just sensed there was going to be a threat, so he just appeared. That could be why.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like trying to, of course, reveal to Fushi of like that he's the creator and what his reasons for creating him is. So, I mean, it's I was a little bit surprised that that this guy would show up this soon. I thought he would be someone who'd show up near like the end of the show, but it's but it's still interesting that to see like Fushi's creator just suddenly just pop up and then reveal himself like that.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to show up this soon either, considering how important of the character I assume he's supposed to be.
Yeah, but yeah, eventually, like both Fushi and the old woman move on, and then they end up boarding a boat, and then Fushi met, or was it before or after this? I'm confused with the timeline.
It was after this. Yeah, they get on the boat, and Fushi briefly talks about like his experience with the boy, but he doesn't remember what his name was, because I think the old woman like asks like where he came from or something, and he like kind of briefly goes over it. Yeah.
But of course they eventually go to the old woman's hometown, and they eventually go to her home, where they end up meeting this young boy wearing this like almost like chameleon looking mask thing on his head.
Yeah, this is the character that we saw at the opening, so you can pretty much assume he's going to be an important character.
And pretty much assuming that he'll leave an impression on Fushi like later down the road. But yeah, I'm just curious, like of what's going to happen to this kid, because so far it's like almost every notable person that Fushi's met up with has ended up dying, and he's ended up taking their forms. So, I'm just curious, like of what Fushi's relationship with this boy is going to be, probably in the next several set of episodes.
Yeah, and of course we know that that Hayase and her people are supposedly like still chasing after him.
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious as to what's also happening with Perona and Hayase, like because I mean, as we saw in the episode before this, it looked like they were about to get into some kind of a fight. So I'm kind of wondering what happened with that. If maybe they're just following them, or if they're fighting each other.
Yeah, but this episode was a pretty good episode. We finally got it finally puts more focus on Fushi this time around, and of course he gets a little bit more development in terms of learning how to read and write for the first time in his life, and possibly like he'll feel a little bit more human emotion the more people he interacts with.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about this episode. Like, it was definitely one of the better episodes because we actually got some pretty significant development with Fushi himself. And that was probably like the best part of it. And also, like I said, I was not expecting his creator to show up so soon in the series. So that was pretty surprising. And it also just learning about these creatures that are supposedly here to try to, like, I guess, impede his progress or something. So I guess those are those, along with I guess the people he meets, are going to be like kind of the antagonists of the series. So yeah,
but who's to say that Fushi's creator is the true antagonist? I mean, it's it could be a possibility. Yeah.
I mean, maybe he has some ulterior motive or something. Because, I mean, like, there's a lot we don't know about him.
Yeah, because I just really can't see any reason for some random creature to just suddenly just go up and attack, Fushi out of nowhere like that. I mean, that creature just suddenly just appeared as soon as the creator just suddenly arrives like that.
Yeah, like, I'm wondering, like, I kind of want to know more, like, who is this, like, is there some kind of counterforce also working against this creator, or is it him who is doing this for whatever reason? Like, yeah, we just don't really know yet. So it kind of leaves us with a lot of questions as to what his real intentions are. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out. I don't anticipate us really finding that out until maybe like much later on, probably. But yeah, I like I said, I thought it was a good episode. I don't really have too much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No, I definitely like this episode. Like a lot more. I mean, a little bit more than I did with the last few episodes that we've watched. But I think this is this is the one we've been waiting for in terms of like Fushi's development.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll continue to develop more as a character and just grow more. Really, just kind of grow more of a personality too. Because like, yeah, as it is right now, he's become less of like sort of like he has gotten a bit more of one, but he's still just kind of like a robot essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping he eventually develops just more of a personality and just becomes more of like his own person, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that all being said, until next Monday, we will see you all next time.